because I was growing up, all that I saw on TV were white men. It was very difficult, teaching kids in the East End of London. They weren't interested in science. Neither was I. So
ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Behind the Funny. This week's guest, we have the fabulous Shazia Mirza. Oh my God, it's a pleasure to have her on the podcast, and you guys are going to understand why. Shazia, how are you doing, sweetie? How are you doing, man?
Thank you, Peter Francis, your new name.
All right, she said it because you know me as Special P, yeah? I guess, yeah.
I've always known you Special P, and now you're Peter Francis.
Yeah, I was told to use my name, but that was way back. That was by Tom Stade, but it's on a podcast where he tells me to use my name.
Has it helped you? Has it?
Well, yeah, it's given me a great. But Special P was like a gimmick type thing. Well, it's not a gimmick. My mom called me Special P when I was a baby, and I just thought I'd just use my name, Peter Francis. It's a bit more easy. You know what I mean? But Shazia, this is all about you, girl. This is about you. First of all, I need to ask you, how long have you been doing comedy?
I've been doing comedy about 17, 18 years.
Okay, 17, 18 years in the business, all right? And what made you get into comedy in the first place?
Well, you know what? I always ask, how did you get in it?
Yeah,
or, but really, I don't think comedians sit at home in their bedroom when they're sad and go, I want to be a comedian. It always happens by accident. You ask people, they go, oh, I fell into it. I wasn't planning to do it. I just kind of, ended up doing it. That's how it was. It's never something I planned, is it? It was something I think comedy finds you. It finds a person,
Okay. In that case, what was you doing before you did comedy?
I was a science teacher in an East End comprehensive.
How long was you teaching for?
I was a teacher a long time, about 12 years.
Yeah.
And I was teaching in an East End comprehensive in Tower Hamlets for years. Then I went to teach in Birmingham, and then I taught in Enfield.
Okay. And what? Why did you leave the profession?
Well, I mean, I was 21, 22. I went into it. It was very difficult, teaching kids in the East End of London. They weren't interested in science. Neither was I. So it's just terrible. It was like both of us were like, oh my God, how do we get out of here? How do we pass the time? So I think it was so hard. I think that's actually where I learned my stuff, is trying to control these 16-year-old boys in Tower Hamlets who weren't interested in science. And I used to kind of entertain them in front of the class, trying to keep them engaged. And then I thought, you know what, I started comedy because that was something I loved. I thought I'd do something that I love, because teaching was so hard, So I thought I'd do something I love. So I started writing comedy. And when I started writing it as a hobby, I went on this course, and you had to write out what you'd written. And everybody started laughing. All the people in the class started laughing, because I was talking about how much I hated the kids, and what I wanted to do to them, and they were blah, Simon did this and Peter did that. I was just telling the truth of the day, right. And they thought this was hilarious. And the teacher said, this is so funny. You need to just go out and work it and perform it. I'd never heard of a circuit. I'd never been in a comedy club in my life before I did my first gig. I thought, what's she on about, this circuit? And basically, in those days, about 50 years ago, there were rooms above pubs.
Yeah.
Like off Tottenham Court Road, and 4 Men and a Dog Wednesday night. I started doing that, getting on stage there, telling people about how much I hated the kids, what they did to me and what they said to me. People thought this was hilarious. So I just carried that on. And that's how it started. Yeah.
I remember you coming down to a Cork's wine bar. They
I
absolutely,
remember Cork.
yeah, and they absolutely loved you down there. And it was unusual because what's your background? Are you Muslim or?
I'm Muslim Pakistan. I'm Pakistani Muslim. I'm from Birmingham though, as we are.
Right.
But thing is, I remember Cork's wine bar because back in the day, about 15, 20 years ago, there was no. It was very segregated. You know, it was like apartheid. It was very segregated because there was no Asian comedy circuit. Uh, it was basically white man clubs, and then there were black promoters who kind of took me under their wing because I am ethnic, you know, but there was Asian comedy circuit, there were Muslim comedy nights, and promoters, people like Mr. C, you know, Carlton, yeah, and there was you, and then there was Simit, and there was these black promoters that kind of put me under their wing. I said, you know, come and do the black circuit. And I remember Cork's wine bar because it was on a Sunday night and people was trying to get a gig there, and they were going, "You've got to do Cork's. It's really great." You know? And eventually, I got to do it, and I'd never seen so many black at a comedy gig, because normally you'd go to these clubs and it was Guardian readers, white middle class Guardian readers who thought they were going to see Python or something. I mean, it was all kind of Oxbridge comedy, and there was like nobody like us and no kind of scene like us. So I remember doing Corks, and there was like all these people. It was like really wild. You know, you could kind of be what you wanted to be, say what you wanted to say, and I met so many great comics on circuit. You know, since then I did for John Simmet. I used to do gigs with Dexter and all these people that, you know, that were different, and it was like a different kind of comedy that I was getting to know, and it was really great because I could be myself.
So when you say be yourself, do you find that there's a difference in being yourself on a mainstream circuit as opposed to the urban circuit, or what do you mean by being yourself?
Yeah. When I went to the black promoters, black comedians, they were talk. It was kind of like when I watch old school Richard Pryor, you know. When I watched Pryor, old footage of him was starting out in the clubs, and there's like 20 people in the room, and he's talking about being a prostitute and being brought up in a brothel, and that kind of raw life and comedy, and not watered down, not toned down, not. I hope this doesn't offend anybody. I'm gonna tone it, but bring it back up. No, it was just him in stories about his life, and when I watched that kind of footage, that's what it was like for me when I first went out on the black circuit. It was just black people, black comedians talking about their life, as raw as it was, just how it was, and you didn't have to kind of tone it down or, you know, swear less or be less offensive, or you just say it how it was, how your life was, and the audience would get it and they'd laugh. It'd be laughter of recognition. Oh yeah, that was my life too. I understand what you're saying, and that kind of, when I first started, you know, being, you know, an Asian Muslim woman from Birmingham, I could say these things about growing up, and nobody would be offended, and everybody would get what I'm saying, and everybody was interested in what I was saying, and everybody would laugh at what I was saying because they recognised it. Because there's a lot of overlap between that culture and Asian culture, you know, with parenting and how your parents bring you up and meetings and, you know, all of this. So I felt like I could just say what I wanted to say about my life, and that it would, and people would get it.
When you first started that comedy, all right, and you was on stage and people didn't get you, how did you cope with that they didn't understand you, or they didn't, who's this person coming?
Well, you have to kind of find a way. You have to find a way, don't you? You have to find a way. How do I find my way into it? You've got to find aware. Comedy is about communication, and it's how do you communicate with people that might not understand you or have never met anybody like you before? How do you communicate with that? Because that's all it is. Comedy is communication, isn't it? So you have to find a way to speak the same language as them. So you either tone things down, you change language, you make things palatable, you try and connect with people. You know, it's about connection. That's what comedy is. It's about connection, and it's about, you know, communicating, and you have to find a way to do that.
Did you ever come across any barriers?
You know, there's barriers in comedy. You know, comedy, it's hard. It's hard, and it's hard, and also it's hard to keep going. It's hard. It's hard for people that are minorities and that are different, although that's changing now. But as a woman and as an Asian woman, as a woman, it was hard. Yeah, it was hard to get gigs. It was hard to get people to understand me. It was hard to, you know, people feel comfortable enough to laugh at what I was saying, because people were nervous and didn't know whether to laugh or not. And all of these things, you know, it was everything about it was hard.
So do you find that you have to change your material when you're going in front of the mainstream circuit?
When I first started, yes, because it was very white, you know, the promoters were white, the audience was white. I remember just looking out into the audience, never seeing a brown face.
Right.
No, I mean, there was hardly women, and there was hardly any brown people. I just, and I always felt like I had make myself palatable to the white people. Like, you know, I was the first Muslim woman doing stand up in Britain. I was scared. You know, it was after 9/11. People were scared. People didn't know whether to laugh or not. I was always like I was treading on eggshells a bit.
So who inspired you to do comedy then? I know you said you went from school, then you went into comedy because you was writing. But what inspired you to do comedy itself?
Do you know what? I don't know what it was. I fell into it. I was drawn to it. I felt like, I think in a way, you know, you hear comedians say, "Oh, it saved me." Oh, comedy, you know, help me, because comedy can be so many things. You know, it can be healing, it can be inspirational, it could make you feel better, it can bring you happiness, it can, you know, you see so many people at a gig and they go, "Oh my God, I haven't laughed so much in ages, I needed that." You know, comedy can be so many things. And I think, you know, it's a certain person that does comedy. I mean, it's a strange thing to do. It's a hard thing to do. And not everybody can do it. I think a lot of people think they can. I think a lot of people want to, but then realize how hard it is, and then they drop out. It's a certain person that does it. There has to be something in your life that has happened to you, made you want to do it.
Which is what I'm trying to get to from you. What's happened to you that made you want to go and be a comedian? Because like you just said, you're the only Muslim.
Well, I don't know more particular. All I know at the time that I started, I was in a job that I didn't like, hated. I never knew that I'd be a comedian, though, because I was growing up. All that I saw on TV were white men comedy. Nobody that looked like me. I grew up Les Dawson, Frankie Howard, Kenny Everett, you know, all white men. And then I used to watch Shazia and Eddie Murphy, but black men. I watched Joan Rivers, but that was it. There were no Asian women. I mean, I can't say that I was inspired to do it by anybody, because I could say the influences, like obviously Richard Pryor influenced me, and Eddie Murphy influenced kind of autobiographical comedy, truth telling, and all that. That inspired me, but there was nobody that looked like me that was doing it. I thought maybe I won't fit in, but I felt like I had something to say. I had a story. I had a point of view that I never heard before. Being centre of attention, I was always on all the days at school. I think those things kind of drove me, but I know I would do comedy and it would be fun. I didn't know that.
Mhm. Have you ever got any backlashes from doing comedy because you're an Asian woman type
Yes.
thing?
Yeah, mainly from my parents. They were not, obviously. Why are you not? What is, there was a doctor and then there a comedian. It was just so far apart from each other. I remember my dad was in denial. It was like gay. I think it's like being gay. I thought I would I'd come back. Come back and I'd be normal. I used to stop him in the street and say, "Oh, I on TV," and he'd go, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a hobby. Actually has a degree in biochemistry, and she will be going back to that soon." And it was all in denial. Years they were in denial, and then they just shut up because they knew it weren't going to
Change. Did they? When did they eventually click on and change their mind and went, I like this. This is good.
Well, the thing with Asian parents, I think it's a lot like black parents. That, they want to be successful, because they're immigrants to this country, right?
Right.
So they want to do. They want to do well. They want their kids to do well. They want us to be doctors, engineers, all of these things. I think, obviously when we don't do that, whatever we do, they just to be the best at it. Just want us to be the best at what we do, because they go out and brag to people that my daughter is, a famous comedian, successful comedian. They just want you to be the best at whatever that you do.
What does success mean to you, Shazia?
Well, success in a lot of things, right? Obviously, there's money. That's you're doing well. Start earning good money. Um, or to always carry on working. Really hard to keep going in comedy. There's obviously lots of jobs and stuff, and you've got to keep going. How do I keep going? How do I keep working? How do I keep earning money? How do I keep on creating? Whether it's shows, TV, radio, writing. How do I keep growing? Because if you stop, that's the end. That's how it's the end. Oh, so you've got to try and keep on working, keep on writing, creating, and keep on thinking. What have I got to say? What would I like to say? It's always hard, but you've got to keep focused. That's how you become successful.
Okay.
Keep going, really.
You've been on quite a few shows. Like I've got down here Jonathan Ross, Robert Gills, The Late Show, the how did you manage to get these shows? Have you got a manager, by the way, or is it just purely from you?
I've got an
Sorry.
agent. I have got an agent,
Okay.
and yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of shows. I've got a lot of shows out, and so the shows I've got coming out are probably going to be the biggest shows of my career.
Brilliant.
And I realise that is what I was saying about keeping going. Yes, I've done a lot of shows, but there's a lot of shows I haven't done. But because I've kept going, I'm getting onto bigger things. That can only happen if you keep going.
Mm. When you say bigger things, are we talking about your own one man, one woman show? Sorry, one man show. Your own woman show? Is that what we're talking about, or bigger things, bigger?
I'm in some. I've got some big shows that are coming up. Yeah, very soon.
Okay, that sounds like a secretive mission that we're not supposed to know about just yet.
You'll know about it when it happens. You'll know about it. Oh, yeah.
There you go, girl. That's what I'm talking about. So you're taking your career. So you got into this career. You've done quite a lot of shows. Where do you want to take your career, or what level do you see yourself going to?
I would like to. When you see when you suppose become successful, which is just said about success, and you earn money, the money buys you freedom and some time to do things that you really want to do. So you no longer have to do things for money. You do things you want to do them because you like to do, because you've got the money now. So I think that's a good, nice place is when it's I do the things I kind of do that now. The things I just want to do, yeah, and also not having to work all the time. Just work things you want to do. So you're not working all the time. Like in the beginning, start out in comedy, you have to work all the time because you want to earn money, you want to earn a living, you want to get good. But I think as I'm successful, you don't have to do that anymore.
How does it feel being like? I think is there any other? I don't know if there's another Muslim female comedian out there. I think are you the only one still?
No, the number of Asian women that I see trying it, starting it, writing comedy, doing kind of all aspects of comedy, writing, performing, creating, producing, all of this. I've never seen so many as I see now. And I can only say that that's because the more are out there doing it, the more visibility there is, that the more people are being inspired and are trying this.
Brilliant.
And
Absolutely.
I'm glad to say, not more than obviously when I started and I was the only one.
You're the head, and you made the others come along. They said, "Oh my God, we could do this as well because Shazia has done it."
Yeah, exactly. I think there is a bit of that. They've seen me on TV. They thought I can do that now. We've got a lot. We've got comedy queens. I'm on tour with comedy queens. There's 5 of us.
Okay. Oh yes, that's the new
Me,
thing. Yeah.
or 5 Muslim women. Ola Labib, Fatia Saliha, and 2 Americans, Zay and Yasmin. And we go on. We've done 2 tours so far. We sold out the O2 twice, the Birmingham Bigley Hall, Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds. We've a lot of venues, and big venues. Like we sold out the O2 twice. That was like 4,000 seater. And we're doing another tour in June. We're doing another tour in June, and it's like just us, the 5 Muslim women. That's been a long time coming.
So would you get into films, acting? Because you do a bit of acting at the moment, don't you? Or is this the hush hush thing? I gotcha.
It's coming.
The acting is coming,
it's coming, and it's coming big. Yeah.
I like the sound of this. You heard it first. It's coming and it's coming big. I know I'll get you somehow, but okay. So we won't touch on the acting yet, although we know it's coming. Yeah. What would you end up, or should I say, what would you prefer to be doing in the latter part of your career? More of the acting bit, or still stand up, or will stand up?
Yeah, I'd love to be in a sitcom. Something like Curb Your Enthusiasm. Sex and the City, all these big clubs. I love to be in an American sitcom. I always loved to do that. Writing a book. I will be writing another book, and that will be coming out. So I'll always be writing. I'd also love to buy a house in the south of France and just kind of go and live there and write by the sea and have a nice life there.
Just to chill and just relax.
and write. You know, I could write
And
by the
right.
sea. You know.
Mm. What's the book called?
Well, it's going to be like my kind of memoir, and I'm going to call it Mirza She Wrote.
Easy, Tiger. Okay. Is it going to be about your life, or is it
It's
fiction
going
or
to be my
non-fiction?
life. It's my life up to the point at which I become a comedian. So it's going to be growing up in Birmingham, my family, what they want to be, immigrant upbringing, you know, their expectations, being brought up in a house. They were desperate to be British but wanted to cling on to their Pakistani roots at the same time. How difficult that was, that clash of, you know, cultures and like that, and how when I look back on it, the writing was on. I could only ever have become a comedian.
That's sort of like that's your forte. That's what you really want
Well,
to do. Yeah.
when I look back on my life, and I think, well, you know, I mean, the way I was brought up and everything. I mean, it could only have been comedy.
Mm. Do you have any other siblings?
There's 5 of us.
Okay, and I presume that none of them are doing comedy. All the rest of them are in a profession or something. Or
No, no, no. There was none of them. They're all very civilized and, you know, normal. But there's always one, isn't there?
normal, normal.
There's 5. I'm number 2.
Oh, you're the second child. Okay. So like I said to you, where is it for you now? What is your main goal? Not mentioning the talk, not mentioning the TV stuff. It's what's in your heart that says I'm gonna be doing this.
I think I want to do something, something, you know, you have these childhood dreams. I mean, I'd love to be in a Bond film.
Interesting. As what type of character?
Like Judi Dench's character.
Mm. Okay.
Oh, I love it. I love the Bond films. I grew up with it. And I would just love to be in something iconic like that. And that M is a very strong character.
Mm. You are the only one. So you are the icon at the moment. You was the icon for Indian, or should I say, Asian comedy in the
Pakistani,
UK.
Asian.
Asian Pakistani comedy in the UK. Brilliant, Shazia Mirza. Shazia, where can people find you if they need to look up you?
I'm on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the Shazia Mirza. I'm on Instagram. I've got a website, shazia-mirza.com. You know, yeah, and that's where you can find me. I'm also on TikTok, the Shazia Mirza. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Shazia Mirza, the first Pakistani comedian, female comedian to hit UK. And my God, she's doing big things. Thank you, Shazia Mirza. It's been a pleasure talking
Big
to you.
things.
Big things, girl. Big things. I don't know for too long.
Big things.
Please, please subscribe to Behind the Funny People and to get more comedians and the insights. Oh my God, thank you, Shazia.
Thanks for having me, Special P.